Today we have decided that we will give arm license in remote area, vulnerable area and border area. People of Assam knows which area is vulnerable, which area is remote. They feel threatened to their life and property.
There's an important decision that the Assam cabinet has taken with regards to arms policy or gun policy in the state. The chief minister, believe it or not, has decided to allow possession of arms by certain quote-unquote vulnerable groups in the state.
Today, Government of Assam has taken a very important decision in our cabinet. We have Assam is a very difficult and very sensitive state. Today, we have decided that we will give arm license to the eligible persons who are residing in remote area, vulnerable area and border area, and we will encourage our original inhabitants and indigenous Indian citizen to apply and take arms license as per the eligibility provided in the Indian Arms Act.
Why was this decision taken? It's a very curious case. One must understand it also from the perspective of politics, also from the perspective of areas where this is going to be applicable, and to the so-called, again quote-unquote, indigenous people that the chief minister believes should have the license to possess arms. Here is a state that was dealing with insurgency, and there were a lot of efforts made to have people surrender arms. At one point of time, it took a huge process to get the arms surrender process. If you remember, at the peak of the rule of Alpha in the state, or rather the terror of Alpha in the state, and then those armed militants, the United Liberation Front of Assam, or Alpha, became Salfa, the surrendered United Liberation Front of Assam. After this whole process that the state underwent, what is it that has made the chief minister feel there is need to arm certain groups in the state? I'm Afrida Rahman Ali. You're watching Free Press Journal. So Himanta Sarma seems besotted with all things American, is it? Particularly its Second Amendment, which by the way has not gone in favor of the country. America is looking at reforming its gun culture and gun policy because it had disastrous outcomes, from mass shootings to deepening social polarization. Assam, on the other hand, is trying to emulate a similar special scheme to provide arms licenses to indigenous people in vulnerable areas to quote-unquote help protect them. Now, this is really couched in very interesting language, and I'm going to actually also tell you during the course of this interview which areas this is applicable. Mostly the areas where there are Bengali-speaking Muslims. Now, the chief minister clarified that the next day that this will not apply to interstate border areas. This is unconstitutional as it unequalizes citizens. Certain citizens will have this right, certain others will not. You know, someone with a better sense from the government of India perhaps should ensure that this policy is scrapped immediately. The cabinet has approved it, but somebody has to crack the whip that such selective policies in a state like Assam cannot be allowed. Sarma has reassured everyone that licenses will only be issued to those without criminal records, and that the district commissioners will oversee identification of vulnerable areas, and he is the one to vet applications. But given the bureaucracy and the government's complex relationship, this policy that Assam government is planning to implement is actually laughable that it will have a positive outcome. It's actually unbelievable that it can even have a positive outcome. It will have a divisive outcome to pit one community against the other. Sorry, not okay. So the courts must act before Assam becomes quote-unquote America and has that sort of a gun culture, which, as I said earlier, proves to be disastrous. Now let me come to what exactly has the chief minister said in his posts regarding this entire matter. So the CM says in X that there were some queries regarding whether the arms license policy would also apply to interstate border areas such as those shared with Meghalaya, Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram and Nagaland. Let us clarify that Assam has always maintained that interstate border issues are matters that can and should be resolved through mutual understanding and trust. We do not view these regions as vulnerable in the context of national security threats. Accordingly, the arms license policy will not be applicable to interstate border areas. The Assam government, as I mentioned earlier on Wednesday this week, announced that the government will give arms licenses to indigenous people, to vulnerable groups in remote areas, excluding the interstate border areas. Why is this dangerous? As I explained, for a number of reasons. It is undemocratic. It unequalizes citizens. Certain groups selectively being given the license to have arms, and who will decide? The district commissioner. I think anybody can see the dangers that lie within this sort of a policy. The chief minister also said that in Dhubri, Morigaon, Borpeta, Nagaon, South, Salmara, Mankachar and Gwalpara districts, indigenous people are a minority and they suffer from insecurity, especially after the developments in neighboring Bangladesh. These people may be targeted from other side of the border and even in their own village. Therefore, these people need to be armed.
People of Assam knows which area is vulnerable, which area is remote. So all our deputy commissioner knows that. So vulnerable means wherever there are people who feels safe. They feel threatened to their life and property. So that this definition in Assam everybody knows.
So as I said earlier, clearly these are areas where Bengali speaking Muslims dominate, and he wants to arm the other section who the CM feels are threatened by this group of people. Now, my question to the Chief Minister of Assam is very simple. Security, law and order is a state subject. Are you trying to outsource your job to the citizens? And is that even fair? And is this not a tacit admission that your law and order system has failed? So now you have decided to empower, so-called empower citizens with guns. Which world are we living in? And how can that be a fair policy in a civilized world? Sorry, not okay.